LaserPecker's machines have become incredibly popular among makers and woodworkers. Their lasers are fast, portable, and uniquely suited to engraving odd-shaped, curved, and cylindrical objects, making them especially attractive to me as a woodturner. But they also have some major limitations. If you need a larger work area or serious cutting capability, you typically need a completely different type of machine. With the new LX2, LaserPecker is trying to change that. So let's find out if it actually delivers. I'll test the machine in a bunch of different laser projects so you can get a sense of the performance. But first, let's have a look at the hardware and different features. The Rotary bundle comes with both the riser base and rotary unit in a single box. The Rotary itself is the same design LaserPecker has used before, so if you're upgrading from a previous model, you can continue using your existing Rotary. As soon as I unpack the riser base, I start to get a sense of the scale of this machine. This thing is going to be huge. The parts feel solid, the matte finish looks great, and the weight combined with the rubber feet should keep the machine planted firmly on the workbench. Both the front and rear panels can be opened to access the rails where the base plate can be mounted at different heights. Now for the main event. The box containing the LX2 itself is enormous. This thing was actually delivered on a pallet, which is a first for me when it comes to desktop lasers. It's also surprisingly heavy, so you'll probably want a friend to help move it around. This is definitely a machine you want to set up in a permanent location. And for me, that's this corner of the workshop. I'm also setting up the air purifier here. The purifier has its own exhaust hose, so it pulls smoke from the machine, filters it, and then allows you to either vent the air back into the workshop or exhaust it outside. I'll be venting mine through the wall. I've moved the machine into the center of the shop so you can get a better look at it, and this thing is large. The LX2 measures roughly 80 centimeters wide, 60 centimeters deep, and with the riser installed, about 40 centimeters tall. Let's have a look at what comes in the box before we dive into the features. You get the manual, a generous materials pack, tools, accessories, and all the cables you need. This is new. I believe this is the autofocus gouge, which I'll test later. You also get the support rails used when cutting materials. The machine comes with 4 of them. At first glance, that doesn't seem like much, but we'll see how they perform once we start cutting. There's an exhaust hose, and of course the laser module itself. Mine is the 40-watt version. And once again, the design is excellent. I really like the matte finish combined with the chrome accents. The machine also comes with a serious air assist system. It's powerful, can operate automatically or manually, and even includes a filter to prevent contaminants from being pushed through the airline and into the laser head. Now, let's take a closer look at the machine itself and some of the features LaserPecker has packed into the LX2. There's a camera integrated into the lid, along with LED lighting both on the lid itself and along the sides of the enclosure. The lid is large, but opens and closes smoothly thanks to the 3-hinge design. On the front, you'll find a single multifunction button. It performs different tasks depending on the operating mode, but most importantly, it's used to confirm and start jobs before the machine begins operating. The only control on the side is the emergency stop button. And once again, I have to give LaserPecker credit for the fit and finish. Even though the exterior parts are plastic, they feel high quality and are uniquely designed for the LX2 with both practicality and aesthetics in mind. Around the back, you'll find all the connections, the power switch and exhaust outlet. The built-in exhaust fan is quite powerful, so for many users, it will be enough to run a hose directly to a nearby window. In my case, I'll be using the air purifier. You get all the standard connections, along with direct power for the air assist and an input for an automatic fire suppression system. One small concern I have is the location of the power switch. On a machine this large, reaching around the back can be a little awkward once it's installed in its final position. Inside the enclosure, everything is laid out very neatly. You have large cable drag chains, stepper motors on all the axes, including the set axis for autofocus, and dedicated connections for both the rotary attachment and the conveyor feeder. The laser module itself mounts quickly with just a single cable and the air assist connection. The autofocus gouge is secured on magnets along the side. I've seen some reports of these magnets coming loose, but throughout my testing I didn't experience any issues with it. Now let's power it up and take a closer look at some of the features. In addition to the camera and autofocus system, there's also a red cross alignment system if you prefer to position things manually. For software, you can use several different options, including Lightburn, but for my testing, I'll be using the LaserPecker design space. LaserPecker has clearly invested a lot of effort into the software. It includes some really useful features that we'll look at throughout this review. Let's start with autofocus. You can enter the material height manually if you want to, but you can also simply press the autofocus button and use the camera image to select your material. The machine then measures and sets the focus automatically. Very cool. We'll get a much better test on how accurate the system really is later when we switch to the infrared laser. The machine comes calibrated from the factory, but I wanted to run through the camera calibration process to see how it works. All the required calibration materials are included in the materials pack, and the software walks you through the process step by step. Once calibration is complete, let's do a quick accuracy test. I'll simply draw a circle to see how well the camera placement matches reality. And it's really spot on. Camera systems on desktop lasers can be very hit or miss, but this one is really good. The combination of a high-resolution camera, strong internal lighting, and a good distance between the camera and the work surface gives a clear and accurate view of the entire work area. With the machine back in its permanent corner and the exhaust system connected, one of my earlier concerns turns out to be valid. Accessing the power switch and the rear connections is a little awkward. Now I'm eager to do some actual testing. I'll start with engraving and cutting basewood. To protect the machine, I'm placing the work surface at the lowest position and adding a sacrificial board underneath. That way, there's no risk of accidentally damaging the bed during cutting. For this test, I'm using my go-to design for engraving quality. It includes fill engraving, line engraving, and cutouts, which makes a good all-around test for both detail and cutting performance. I'm also using the settings from LaserPecker's material database. The database includes a large range of materials, and I'm curious to see how accurate these presets actually are. Well, first problem. The machine tells me I need to tighten the screws for the workbed, even if it's not installed. It's a slightly strange safety feature, but apparently the screws needs to be installed even when the bed isn't being used. Once that's sorted, we're finally ready to go. The engraving starts immediately and looks very promising. The laser is producing deep, clean marks, and the details appears very sharp. Fill engraving naturally takes some time, but the LX2 includes a high-speed fill engraving mode that I'll test shortly. By the way, I'm very happy with the camera setup here. The setup is simple, my phone, some tape, and a foolproof way to film inside the enclosure. And there it goes. Straight into the workpiece. Let's call that a failed experiment and start over. The second attempt gives me the chance to enable the high-speed fill setting and improve my highly advanced camera rig. The speed mode actually reduces the engraving time by roughly 15 minutes, which is a significant improvement. Line engraving is fast while still maintaining excellent detail, and the cut settings from the material database work surprisingly well. The parts cut cleanly all the way through without requiring adjustments. One thing to notice is how little marking there is on the underside of the material, and that's one of the advantages of this rail system compared to a traditional honeycomb bed. Next, let's do some more serious cutting. This time I'm using 6mm MDF and some fairly detailed bird designs. MDF at this thickness isn't included in the material database, but I have a pretty good idea of where the settings should be. A quick test confirms it, and it's fairly obvious when everything is dialed in correctly. On the most detailed areas here, there is some minor surface scorching, but that's completely expected and should disappear with very light sanding. I'm actually starting to like this rail system a lot. I was a little concerned that the materials would feel unstable resting on just 4 rails, but that hasn't been an issue at all. It definitely reduces burning on the underside compared to a traditional honeycomb bed, although it doesn't eliminate it completely. Let me finish these birds with a quick sanding and some dark oil. MDF can be a bit tricky because laser cutting leaves a dark and slightly unpleasant smelling edge, but a dark finish like this transforms those edges from something that looks burned into something that looks intentional, and it also seals the surface and gets rid of most of the smell. I like these detailed designs, and they actually gave me another idea. Let's make some larger table decorations using my new favorite material, felt. This is actually where I become a little more skeptical about the rail system. Felt is soft and flexible, so I wasn't entirely sure how well it would behave. The first pleasant surprise is that the autofocus works perfectly, even on material like this. It's good to see that the system is sensitive enough to handle softer materials without any issues. Felt cuts incredibly easy, which means the machine can run at very high speeds. Even with all this detail, these designs only took a few minutes to complete. And once again, the rail system proves itself. Despite the material being lightweight and flexible, I don't experience any stability issues during cutting. The result is a set of clean, detailed table decorations with sealed edges, ready to use straight from the machine. Before testing the rotary attachment on a wood-turned piece, I want to try the infrared laser. Metal engraving isn't something I do very often in my own work, but I can definitely see the appeal. For many makers, it opens up entirely new product categories, like jewelry and other customized metal accessories. As a woodturner, I do have one practical use in mind though. Let's see if I can put my own mark on my turning tools. One thing I've learned from using the LP4 and LP5 is that focus is absolutely critical when working with an infrared laser. If the focus is even slightly off, you often won't get a visible mark at all. So this is actually a great opportunity to test how well the autofocus system works. Once again, I'm using the settings from LaserPecker's material guide, and thankfully it works. The engraving is crisp, detailed and surprisingly sharp, even in very small text. I hope it comes across on camera. With the infrared test out of the way, it's time for the feature I suspect many woodturners are most interested in: the rotary attachment. One of the reasons LaserPecker's previous machines have become popular among woodturners, their ability to engrave on large, round and oddly shaped pieces. The combination of rotary support, the galvo laser system and the adjustable stand allows you to reach places that would be difficult or impossible with many traditional laser designs. I recently demonstrated this with the budget-friendly LP2 Plus and was really impressed by what it could do. Even though it only uses a 10-watt diode laser, that's already enough for many wood-turning applications. The LX2 takes a different approach. Here you get significantly more power, a much larger machine, more advanced software features, and still retain rotary capability. So let's see how well it works. The first thing I notice is that the sign space includes some really useful rotary features. You simply enter the diameter of the workpiece, position your design, and the software generates a preview of how the engraving will appear on the curved surface. That may not sound like a big deal, but getting the circumference, proportions and orientations right has caused me problems in the past. I've even ruined finished pieces because of incorrect rotary settings. So I very much appreciate having this preview. That said, I'm still not quite ready to trust it. The preview looks correct, but before risking an actual project, I want to run a quick test on cardboard. The results are encouraging. The proportions look right, the orientation is correct, and everything appears to line up exactly as expected. Which means it's time for a small leap of faith. I'm not doing any test engravings for the settings first. I'm simply selecting ash from the material database and hoping LaserPecker's settings are good. And thankfully, I can breathe a sigh of relief. The engraving looks exactly the way I hoped it would. The result looks really good, and as a woodturner, this definitely opens up some interesting possibilities. But let's be honest here. The LX2 is not going to outperform the LP4, LP5 or even the LP2 Plus when it comes to this dedicated woodturning application. That's simply one of the limitations of a gantry-based laser. For example, engraving inside a bowl is essentially out of the question. And once you get to larger bowls, somewhere beyond about 15 centimeters in diameter, even engraving around the outside rim becomes difficult because of the limited clearance and focus range. You could potentially raise the laser even further, but that's not really a practical solution. So there are definitely some trade-offs here. If your primary use is decorating bowls, goblets and other wood-turned pieces, I would still lean towards one of the dedicated LaserPecker Galvo systems. But for almost everything else, the LX2 is a very compelling package. You get a large working area, powerful cutting performance, excellent software features, a useful camera system, autofocus, rotary and infrared capability, and a very polished overall user experience. And after spending some time with it, I think they've done a really good job. If you'd like to learn more about the LX2 or any of the other LaserPecker machines, I'll leave links and a discount code in the description below. As always, thank you for watching. I hope this review gave you a better understanding of what the LX2 does well, where its limitations are, and whether it's the right machine for your workshop.